One thing I'm passionate about, and that I think Christians must carefully consider, is good communication. And there's a glaring issue in this realm that is very prevalent amongst my generation, Gen Z, and that is the practice of ghosting. From my understanding, ghosting is when you're communicating with someone, usually over text, and the other person just goes totally silent. They stop replying to your texts, they give no explanation for why they stopped replying to you, they're just silent. This is especially prevalent in the world of dating, but it doesn't just happen there. I saw it happen at a job I used to work, and I've seen it in other realms of life too. Ghosting is controversial because a lot of people have no problem at all doing it, but it can also confuse and very much hurt the person who's been ghosted. It's generally understood that the person who ghosted you isn't interested in continuing the conversation, but there are still often so many unanswered questions. Why did they stop replying to my texts? Did I do something to hurt them? Where did we go wrong along the way? Why can't we just work this out? Now, in a sense, ghosting can be seen as a form of indirect communication. Indirect communication is when what is communicated is not explicitly said, but implied and understood between the two parties. There are plenty of cultures out there that communicate indirectly, and a lot of people, especially women, here in the United States communicate indirectly, and all that is fine. However, I think it's only fine when the two parties fully understand what is indirectly communicated. With ghosting, as I said, there are often a lot of unanswered questions, leading to unresolved confusion, tension, and pain that damage the relationship in the long run. I believe that if you really want someone to understand what you're trying to communicate, that the best approach is the direct approach. I'm not saying you have to share every juicy little detail, but I am saying that if you want someone to clearly understand you, it's best to be upfront and honest. If you can't be at work, don't ghost your boss, tell them why you can't be there. If you're not interested in dating someone, don't ghost them or tell them things like, "Oh, I just don't know you well enough." Give them the real reason why, so that they know there's a 0% chance of it working out, and so that they can move on. And if you don't have the time or the desire to be a part of a social function, don't go silent towards that function. Just tell them where you stand. And side note, guys, I know that in dating, there is a place for flirtation and indirect communication. If someone asks you out, it means they like you. And you definitely don't want to come on too strong too fast. That usually scares people away. But if this relationship is going to work out, there will come a time when you need to explicitly define where you two stand. And if you're dealing with a toxic person who won't respect your boundaries, at some point it could be appropriate to block them or ignore them. And maybe you're not even dealing with a toxic person. Maybe there's just a conversation you know is going to be fruitless and is not worth engaging. But that's not primarily what I'm talking about here. I'm saying that in general, it's best to be upfront and honest with people. Would you want to be confused and hurt by being ghosted? Then don't do it yourself. If you do ghost people, I'm not trying to condemn you, and I'm not saying that I communicate perfectly either. There have been plenty of times in my life where I wasn't as honest with someone as I probably should have been. But I am calling us to a higher degree of integrity and honesty. Jesus says in Matthew 5:37 to just let our yes be yes and our no be no. While Jesus is specifically talking about the issue of oaths here, I think the idea is that he just wants us to have honesty and integrity in our speech in all contexts. Instead of damaging relationships with ghosting, let's just be honest and clear with each other.